Someone once said that darkness can never drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And hate can never drive out hate. Only love can do that. What does it take to heal a country that has been scarred by violence and poisoned by hatred? What does it take to empower the weak and uplift those who have been crushed under the burden of despair? Let me tell you what it takes. It takes people, ordinary people, whose hearts are moved with sympathy at the suffering of others. It takes people who are willing to reach out a helping hand, even at an immense cost to themselves. This is the story of the triumph of hope over pessimism. It is a story of how self-sacrificing love reigns supreme over selfishness and fear. This is the story of our mission trip to Rwanda. They call it the land of 1,000 hills. Nestled in one of these hills is Kigeme refugee camp. It is the largest of 5 settlements dedicated to those who have been displaced by the conflict in the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo. To the refugees that we're working with during our 1-month-long mission trip in Rwanda, this camp and others like it are home. The life of a refugee is all that the children in these camps have ever known. As we tried to understand their story, we found ourselves on a journey that took us beyond the serenity of the hills and led us all the way back to April 6, 1994. It was the dawn of the darkest day in Rwanda's history. In the years leading up to 1994, tensions had been rising between the ruling Hutu majority and the Tutsi minority. On April 6th, a plane carrying the Hutu president of Rwanda was shot down, killing him and several of his close advisors. Within hours of the crash, the machinery that gave rise to the Rwandan genocide had been set in motion. Overnight, roadblocks sprang up across the country and the killing of the Tutsi minority began. Blunt weapons, such as machetes and swords, were the instruments of choice because these inflicted the greatest degree of pain and suffering to the victims. As the story of the genocide unfolded before our eyes, what we found most shocking was how willing people were to betray and even kill those who had been their neighbors and close friends for years, simply because they belonged to a different ethnic group. Even pastors and fellow church members were among those later found guilty of partaking in these crimes. Men, women, and even children were attacked indiscriminately. And it was the stories of the children in particular, some even as young as 6 months old, that broke our hearts the most. For us, it illustrated the depths to which the human heart can sink when not controlled by the restraining power of the Holy Spirit. But even the darkness of these crimes could not extinguish the flame of self-sacrificing love, because mingled with all the horror stories were tales of extraordinary bravery and selflessness. And one story in particular stood out for us. As the violence unfolded during the genocide, international peacekeeping soldiers could only stand by and watch, paralyzed by the shackles of political bureaucracy, because the majority of the international community were reluctant to call this a genocide, considering it instead as an internal civil war. The priority for the soldiers then became the evacuation of foreign nationals from Rwanda. But one man, Carl Wilkins, as he saw what was taking place around him, he refused to leave. At the risk of his own life, Carl would navigate his way around the roadblocks lining the streets of Kigali, making his way towards various orphanages and sanctuaries, and bringing with him much-needed supplies such as food and water. What's more interesting is that Carl Wilkins was a Seventh-day Adventist missionary serving as the director of ADRA in Rwanda, and it is because of this that his story resonated with us. Yet in spite of this, the killing continued, and the death toll rose. And when the massacre eventually ended, 100 days later, 800,000 people, or 75% of the Tutsi population, lay dead in the streets of Rwanda. Those who were lucky enough to survive fled to neighboring countries such as the DRC as refugees. Unfortunately, when the genocide ended, those who were responsible for initiating it also fled to the neighboring DRC, threatening to continue their work from there. And thus Congo was plunged into decades of war from which it has still not fully recovered. It is because of this latter conflict that over 70,000 Congolese refugees now call these camps home. For the children living in these camps, the future seems dark and forbidding. Opportunities and resources are extremely limited. And yet, even in this darkness, the light of hope still shines.
Hi, my name is Mindy Tygeson. My husband and I heard a story in 2014 which changed our lives. We learned about over 100,000 Congolese refugees living in camps in Rwanda as refugees for almost 20 years. Having learned this story about these refugees, we wanted to learn more, as most of them are Seventh-day Adventists just like us. In 2015, in May, my husband came to Rwanda and went into the camps. He met the people in the camps and he asked them, "Why are you all here? Why are you living as refugees? And how is it that you are all Seventh-day Adventists?" And they told us a story that was unbelievable. And they said that they refused to do any killing when the genocide spilled into the Congo from Rwanda. They refused to hurt anybody to protect their land, and they instead just fled as refugees into Rwanda. When they made that decision, they really took on the life of a refugee for years and years to come. And the life as a refugee is very difficult. The people in the camps are living on 24 cents a day, which is provided by the United Nations. And that provides basically enough for one meal a day. There's only education in the camps until the 9th grade. And so there's a lot of youth who have nothing to do in the camps. They're just sitting and waiting for something to happen, but nothing does. Yet the people in the camps, being that they're mostly Seventh-day Adventist, they have the same hope in Jesus that we have, and it unites us in a way that we feel compassion for them, and we asked ourselves, what can we do for these young people in the camps? How can we help them? We really felt called to start a ministry that could do something for these young people who had incredible faith in Jesus, yet no hope for a better future for them or their families. So in 2015, Impact Hope was started, and it was started with the idea of helping young people attend safe Adventist boarding schools in Rwanda. In our first year, we started with 204 refugee students in Adventist schools in Rwanda, and now we're about to see 611 students start school in 2019. In August of 2018, Hans and I went to Orlando, Florida for the ASI convention. There we met a lot of different organizations and did lots of networking. One of the groups we met were the team from Wildwood. While talking with them about their ministry and the types of things that they like to do on mission trips with light, we felt that it would be a really great fit if Wildwood could come with Impact Hope to the second annual vocational training program held at Gateway Adventist College.
Even within the campus of this Adventist college, evidence was all around us that places such as these were not exempted from the horrors of the genocide. For example, back in 1994, this building was used as an office for some of the officials and staff who were based at this school. But on the 20th of May, armed men stormed onto the campus and forced their way into this building, where many of the pastors and their families had taken refuge. The attackers marched them all out onto what is now a patch of grass opposite the building. They loaded them into vehicles and drove them into the mountains, where they eventually met their fate. All in all, 74 Adventists lost their lives on that day. And to remember them, a memorial was erected at the entrance of the school. In the memorial, we saw these arrangements that represent each and every family that was lost. The bigger structures represent the parents, while the little ones symbolize the death of the children. It was a sad reminder of just how deep the scars of the genocide went. But moving from the past, we then went to the present as we got the chance to visit one of the settlements so that we could see from the inside what the lives of these refugees are really like.
One of the first things that we did when we got here was go to Kigeme refugee camp. It really enabled us to see the living conditions of the students that we have here, and it enabled us to also visit some of their parents. And while we were there, it was striking to me that even though they have so little, they are happy to be there because it is so much safer than the place that they're coming from. Having spoken to some of the students, I have realized that many of them are very intelligent, but they just haven't had the opportunity to study in some of the colleges and universities that I've had an opportunity to study at. And being here at Gateway Adventist College is a fantastic opportunity for them as they train with ADRA and also with Impact Hope. It has given them many skills that they can use for the future, and I hope that the health training that we are giving them will be equally beneficial.
My name is Bo Young-pyeon. I came to Gateway College to give them the 1-month medical missionary training. Most of the students here came from refugee camps. I visited one of these camps on our first day at Gateway. When I went there, I saw that they had a lot of material needs, like money and clothes. Although these are important, I realized that this will only give them a temporal hope. So I prayed for God to show me how I could help them. God told me that the only real hope I could give them is Jesus. As I prepared my class, which was about finishing the work, I felt that I needed to spend a lot of time in prayer, so God could use me to reach their heart. I really wanted to inspire them to develop a relationship with Jesus and to become missionaries for Him. I said, God, I cannot do it, but you can. Please help me so they can hear your voice through me. God really blessed me during this class. As I taught, I shared my testimony of how I became a missionary. This gave me an even greater desire to serve God more.
Although these youth are united by the conflict that brought them here, each of them carries their own unique set of scars, whether seen or unseen. These scars tell the story of how the conflict has impacted them individually. And yet, as we spoke to these youth, we were amazed by how unshaken their faith remained in spite of everything they had gone through. And we saw the joy on their faces as they testified of how God has been with them through it all, protecting and guiding them as well as their loved ones.
Murakoze, amazina yanjye nitwa Ishimwe Merci, nkaba ndi umunyeshuri waje hano igitwe nturutse Gakoni, niho nari nsoreje amashuri yanjye yisumbuye. Navukiye muri Kongo ahitwa muri Rushuro tariki 21 z'ukwa kane 1997.
Nitwa Umuhoza Chantier, nkaba nturuka mu nkambi ya Kigeme, mfite imyaka 22, nkaba mvuka mu muryango w'abana batatu, twese tukaba turi abakobwa kandi tukaba dufite umubyeyi wacu.
Hello, my name is Pascal Izabayo. I was born in 1996. I am a Congolese refugee who is actually living in Gihembe camp in Gicumbi district of the northern province of Rwanda. So I'd like to share a story of how my family reached in a camp, in a refugee camp. After genocide that took place in Rwanda in 1994 against Tutsi, the perpetrators, they fled from Rwanda into Congo. They kept killing because they were not satisfied of what they have done in Rwanda. Tutsis who were in target to just be killed, my family to include, they fled in 1995. They fled from Congo into Rwanda.
Mfite mama gusa, papa yarapfuye bitewe n'ibibazo by'intambara zagiye ziba muri Congo. Urugendo rwacu rwo kugira ngo tugere mu Rwanda ni rurerure cyane kuko rwadutwaye iminsi 3 tugenda kugira ngo tugere mu Rwanda.
But as I have said, the perpetrators have never satisfied what they have done. They came again. They came back again in Rwanda, creeping in order to kill all Congolese who were gathered there in that camp.
ubu akaba ariyo tunacumbitsemo. Ako niko twageze mu nkambi. Tukigera mu nkambi rero ntabwo byari byoroshye ku bana bari bakiri mu ishuri kuko twari tumenyereye kwiga mu rurimi rw'Igifaransa, ariko byabaye ngombwa ko twiga mu rurimi rw'Icyongereza, nayo yari ari kure nk'ibirometero 10. Byari ibintu bigoye cyane, ariko twarabyihanganiraga bitewe n'ubuzima twari turimo.
We have suffered a lot in that camp because we will not have even enough water, enough food, quality education. But the word of God is saying that we must praise the Lord in good thing and bad thing.
Ariko Imana yakomeje kubana natwe, twakomeje kwagirira amahirwe menshi. Niho natangiriye kwiga, natangiriye mu wa kabiri aho muri transite, aho ngaho nyine. Noneho nyuma tuza kumva ko hari umushinga w'Abanyamerika uri gukorera muri ADRA waje kudufasha.
Mu mwaka w'2016 nibwo haje kuza umushinga wa Impact Hope, uza ushaka gufasha abanyeshuri kugira ngo ubarihire ubajyane kwiga nk'abandi bana. Ubwo ngubwo rero nanjye nibwo nagize amahirwe boneka muri abo banyeshuri, biba ngombwa yuko batuzana kwiga mu bigo by'Abadivantisite bitwegereye. Tukaba twari turi kwiga ahantu bita Igitwe. Uwo mushinga ukaba waraje udufasha cyane, tukaba tuwushimira.
Impact Hope is one of the projects managed by ADRA Rwanda, and it is an example of how ADRA continues to play a pivotal role in healing the wounds from the genocide. Whilst we were in Rwanda, Oreya, who is one of the project managers for ADRA, was one of our key points of contact, and she, along with Mindy, was instrumental in helping us to deliver the health evangelism training at Gitwe Adventist College.
I'm called Oreya Kagwisage. I am Impact Hope Project Manager. Impact Hope is one of the ADRA Rwanda projects. ADRA is in 5 portfolios: health, education, food security, livelihoods, economic empowerment, relief and disaster management, and the main cross-cutting issues. Impact Hope is in education since 2016, and we have like 4 objectives. We provide all education support, psychosocial support, medical care, and capacity building. We pay all school fees and all related expenses like transport, uniform, education materials, hygienic materials, the basic things which can help a refugee to attend school without really struggling a lot.
Muri Impact Hope mazemo imyaka 3, bandiye imyaka 3, nize neza mu kigo cyiza, bandihira, bampereza amasabune, bampereza ibyo kwambara, bampereza amakayi, buri kimwe cyose nibo bagiye bakimpereza. Rero ndakomeza gushima Imana cyane kubera ko bamfashije.
Now we are working on capacity building. We have noticed that they can finish secondary school and they will return in the camp. When you take them to school, it's like you raise their expectations. When they return, it's like really they lose even what they have before coming. Is why Impact Hope introduced capacity building.
In 2017, as we're learning more about the needs in Rwanda and the ways that these young people can actually find jobs, we discovered that there's a lot of opportunity for vocational skills in Rwanda. There's a big need for people with skills in general. We see the same thing in America. It's no different in Rwanda. But having a skill opens up doors that even a university education can't. So in 2017, Impact Hope started a vocational skills training at Gitwe Adventist College, which gives students ability to study in one of 6 vocational areas, including permaculture, hairdressing, sewing, plumbing, electricity, and culinary arts. By having one of these skills, these young people can go out and actually create their own job opportunities.
I am thankful for Impact Hub again because it is providing again vocation training. I am tailoring, whereas others are in plumbing, electricity, hairdressing, and culinary arts. It's a great job that they're doing because that is an additional skills that we are given after leaving our different schools.
Bakampa n'ubundi burezi bwiyongeyeho bwo kuba nakwiga n'imyuga. Ntabwo bamfashije kwiga gusa ngo nige ibyo mu ishuri bisanzwe, ahubwo bampaye n'imyuga kugira ngo mbashe kwibesha. Uyu munsi ndi kwiga amakarica binyuze kuri bo. Uyu munsi nguwe neza cyane, ndi kwiga kandi bigacamo.
I can't stop thanking Impact Hub because it has brought worldwide that we are grateful for RATE that is teaching us about health, about how we can grow physically, mentally, socially, and even spiritually. We are so thankful for that.
The benefit for the students has been unbelievable because what the students are receiving, the information that they are learning, is something that they would never have received in their regular high school classes. The information that they're getting is actually changing their life because they're learning so much about health, in ministry, in discipleship, and it's just been an awesome experience to see the empowerment that they've received from this training.
My name is Joy Owase and I'm a student. I have been attended the World Buddhist training and it has been really helped me. Like I learned about how I can treat many disease, and I learned different disease like cholera, malaria, and other disease I didn't know before.
I really enjoyed it because it changed my ideas and my opinions on how people get sick and how they should be treated. Really, before this, I didn't know how people are affected by diseases.
Ikindi kintu nshimira cyane cyane wayidudu. Ndabashimira ko nize gukiza nkoreshe gukora ku muntu. Isomo ryitwa massage. So massage ntabwo nari nyizi, narayumvaga ariko nabonye ko ari ikintu cy'ingenzi gikomeye cyane, ari ikintu cy'agaciro ko bikiza amavunane ndetse iri gukora ku muntu umukiza ububabare bwinshi kandi muri we akumva amerewe neza bigatuma yongera guhinduka mushyashya.
And I learned many treatments like how I can use hydrotherapy for treating some disease. And I really learned many things from what those people.
Ikindi kintu gikomeye cyane ndashimira wayidudu ko nasobanukiwe diare indwara yica igiye kurimbura isi, abantu benshi batazi inkomoko yayo, batazi ko inkomoko yayo ko ari umwanda.
In hydrotherapy we studied many different techniques like hot foot bath and the general reversive system. We treated a boy who had a headache and we used steam inhalation technique. It was so very helpful to him. It is simple. I cannot say that it is simple, but it is very easy to perform and it is effective. So it is not simple because it is very effective.
Nari mfite ikibazo cy'urubavu mu nyama imbere ariko amakara nayasizeho ndetse ndanayanywa ariko ubu ngubu meze neza cyane. So amakara ni ikintu cy'agaciro gakomeye cyane ku buzima bw'umuntu kandi amakara nayo agaciro cyane kuko akurura imyanda yo mu mubiri imbere noneho wanywa amazi ukabisohora.
We have seen also how to teach gospel through working what we have studied like healing. For example, you can go to someone who is sick and tell him or her that love of Jesus is on him or her. and after that one you can cure him and heal him as we've been studied in Wildwood.
This concept of using the health message to reach the hearts of the people was evidently manifested not only in the ministry of Jesus, but also in the work of David Delove, the Belgian missionary who brought the Adventist message to Rwanda, Burundi, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Although Delove was required to serve in the Belgian army in Africa during World War I, he never forgot his missionary calling. He served for the whole period, never once carrying a gun, but used this time instead to learn more about the people whom he believed he had been called to reach. Prior to this, Delove had received training as a pharmacist, and this proved useful as he found the people in Gitwe quite suspicious and initially hostile to his work. But, following Jesus' example, he taught them and healed their sick, and through this means, he won their confidence, paving the way for the acceptance of the Adventist message in Rwanda and the eventual establishment of the Gitwe Adventist Seminary. Many of the church officials serving in this region today were trained within the walls of this institution, and almost 100 years later, the legacy of his work lives on, and the seminary still stands, now known as Gitwe Adventist College, standing as proof that Christ's method can still bring true success in reaching the people. And during our mission trip, we also sought to follow this method in order to reach the hearts of our students.
On our mission trip, we didn't only teach classes, but most of our work also consisted in giving treatments to students. And at the beginning, I didn't expect that many treatments. I thought we're going there and teach, and it was not our plan to give treatments. But as the students realized that we were medical missionaries, many came and wanted relief from their suffering. And it was interesting to see how, when we gave treatments, they opened up so easily, and we could talk and share God's love so much easier. And sometimes we didn't even know what they had, strange conditions that I never heard of. But we always prayed and asked for wisdom. Sometimes we had to research and look how we could, with what we had there, give relief to their suffering. And I want to share one experience that made a huge impact on my mind. And this was with a girl that came to us right at the beginning of our mission trip. She been bitten by an insect, and her face was swollen a lot, and her eyelids were sore, her lips were sore, and she just had a lot of pain. And one of the most difficult things for her was also that she was mocked because of that. And when we saw her the first time, we didn't have an idea what was the best thing to do, but we prayed, and we had the idea to put a charcoal paste on her face. And after that, we also gave her charcoal to drink and sent her home. She was very thankful from the beginning on, but I saw in her face the sadness and the disappointment, and she didn't even dare to look up a lot when she was speaking to us. And we visited her several times. And each time we came, we prayed with her, we gave her another treatment and tried to encourage her. And I could see the change in her, not only physically, but also in her mind, in how she interacted with us. And at the end of the mission trip, she expressed her thankfulness towards us, because it didn't only relieve the pain that she had, it also gave her hope again in the time that she was very depressed. And it also showed her how to have a selfless attitude towards others, and she was motivated also being a service and a blessing to others as well herself. And what I really learned and liked about those experiences, and what became very precious to me, was the fact that even though sometimes the conditions were so difficult, the circumstances didn't allow us to do treatments as they should have been carried out normally, but we saw that God can bless in whatever we do if we are willing to serve people and to share His love.
So I'm here with my sister, Alphonsine, and she has had this problem with her arm since 2005, so for about 12 years now. And what I've been doing, so 2 days ago, we prayed about it, and I decided to put charcoal on it and change it 3 times a day. So far we've been changing it at meal times, which seems to be the easiest: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. In the beginning, it was a lot worse. Her whole arm was black over here. And this was also had a lot more pus than it does now. But as we can see, God has definitely added the healing element to the charcoal that we applied. And so we're just going to do that again. And that next bandage that I put on will stay on until tomorrow morning, when we'll change it again. As you can see, a lot of pus is coming out, so I want to make sure I clean that before I add more charcoal. So I'm just going to clean it once more here. The charcoal is already doing a really great job of cleaning. It's good. And in the beginning it also smelled really bad. Now the odor is very, very minor. I'm going to water it.
Perfect justice, kiss the guilty world in love.
Perfect. Nice and breathable. And just to keep it in place, I'm gonna add this wrap around it.
Let me see thy kingdom home in my life. To thy praise, thou alone shalt be my glory. Nothing in this world I see.
Nice to meet you.
Thou hast made and sanctified me. Thou thyself hast set me free.
Okay.
Today was the graduation services for the students who have succeeded in their studies in vocational training for this program, and also they received certificates from Wildwood that shows that they have learned certain areas of study in health evangelism. For those students, a certificate is really an important thing for them going forward in their life. They can show an employer, or they can show potential customers the knowledge that they've received through these trainings. For them, it's more important than we can even imagine. What the difference that this has made in their lives, we cannot even comprehend. From where they're coming from in the camps, they would never have been able to receive this type of education. And so they are extremely grateful for this opportunity.
I like to tell you guys that refugees are able. Only they need advocacy and support for them to grow in the different matters, and then for them to live well and achieve their dreams. Impact Hub, it has helped me to think big, to have dreams. Actually, I'm thinking how I will form even my own workshop in the future. I'd like to tell you that these skills I'm gaining about health, I will share to the others, so that my society and even maybe the globe or the world as whole, maybe again from this.
They end by not to thank the family of Tigason. Mindy and Hans, they have done a wonderful job because what they are doing is more than education, because they don't only take care of education or body, but also when they came visit them, that encourage students is like they also touch on the soul and the spirit in the same time. We are really thankful to them. May God bless them.
Going forward, Impact Hope just wants to continue to take more and more refugee students out of the confines of the refugee camps and place them into safe schools. By doing this and by partnering with people and organizations like Wildwood, we can give them not just an education, but a quality Adventist education that they can't receive any other way. And we're very grateful for Wildwood and the opportunities that they've given to these students. And going forward, we just hope that we can have even greater success as we teach these children about Jesus and a hope in heaven. And so we are very excited about their potential and where they will be able to find themselves in several years going forward.
There is many lessons we can extract from a mission trip, and every individual will be responsible to do it and reflect about all these experiences, including, the previous month at Wildwood. But there are three things that I'm praying and looking for to hopefully everybody can have those experiences. The first one is about humility, and it's very easy for us, traveling from different parts of the world, especially rich countries, and with different backgrounds, and coming in places like here, and think of ourselves superiors in a way, more privileged, which in a sense we may be, and pridefulness can be something very, very negative. It is something very negative. And actually learning how God has been taking care of these people in their childhood until today, it makes us feel that we are not better than anyone, and actually make us feel that we should be more willing to serve. And the second lesson that I'm sure I'm getting, and I'm always looking forward, and I pray God that my friends can have it too, it's the blessing of giving. But more than that, which is as good by itself, is the ability to give empowerment to people. We realize that it is not just a humbling experience, but it's a powerful experience when we are able to communicate knowledge, to give tools and practical, knowledge and experience in young people's hands. I really enjoy seeing my friends doing treatments and going to the dormitories and spending tons of time trying to help to release the suffering of these young people. But more than that, it's to see how these kids, at the same time they were receiving these blessings, they were learning. And the outcomes that we hear from the testimonies is, I'm going to take this to my community. I'm going to help. I have a friend that I'm giving advice and, calling people. And it is beautiful to see that the very thing we're learning in all this experience at Wildwood, it's not just for us, but we're able to give to someone else. And the third thing that I'm always praying is to understand that the empowerment, that the humility all comes together with the understanding, the practical understanding of what is love. Love can be very theoretical, and we can talk about that, but to experience love in a different level is what really makes a difference in our hearts. We learn so much from these young people, kids that come from backgrounds of genocides, refugees, sexual abuse, and you can name it, and even though They have been victims of people who love power, and they seeking for have greatness in this world, regardless the price they have to pay. And most of the time the price they pay is not their own, but these kids are paying the price of somebody pride, somebody love for power. So this is something that we will see wherever we go, in every place. And we are humans, and we may be looking for greatness in this world. We may be looking for accumulate power, but through this experience, rather than love power, I'm aiming that we can learn the power of love and be motivated that wherever they go tomorrow or wherever God has prepared for them, they always seek to experience in their own life and share love, because love will bring another type of power that is manifest through service. So humility, empowerment, and the true experience of love, not just for what we did, but for what we receive being here.